Hey, Church, Pastor Tim here, and we are right in the middle of crazy time, which is less than 24 hours before departure for Togo. So you can imagine, Krista's running around, getting all of our stuff. Super cool praise report is that we received word last night that we were approved for the upgrade to first class. Yay! So not only does that mean that we get a super cool ride all the way to Togo, but the best part is that it gives us extra room for baggage. And we were just out of space. We just didn't have any more room to put more of the things that you all donated. So thank you so much for just the school supplies and all the stuff. You ladies donated jewelry, and I mean, it's awesome. We get to go and be a blessing. I'm really excited about the stuff for the school kids because we saw the need last year. We weren't aware of it then. Now we know. And Pastor Blessing gave us all that list of stuff. And we're not able to take all of it this year, but we're making a pretty good dent in it. So anyway, I'm excited about that. But the reason I wanted to talk to you really quick, there are some things that have developed here at just the last minute, literally, which is a good thing. And I wanted to share that with you. And you know that we've been in a process of asking God and believing for a way for us to purchase these speakers that we've been demoing since Easter. we've hung them and have been using them since April, and they've performed exactly the way we'd hoped they would. And really one of the nicest sound systems in the city. So not bragging on us, bragging on God. It's exactly what we had spec'd out when we were looking at the renovation of the large space. So it just so happened, right, coincidentally, that that system became available. We were able to get it, put it to use, but now the time has come for us to make a decision on whether we're going to purchase it or not. Many of you know that, I've said this before, but that system costs about $63,000 as it stands. And we are able to purchase that for about $25,000 because it's a demo system and a lot of other details that I really don't have the liberty to go into, but it's an awesome God story. One of these days I'll be able to tell you about. But for right now, just know that we're able to buy this for less than half price, which is an amazing situation. Also, our situation with the projector that displays all the words for worship and the notes for the messages, that thing is borrowed as well. And the one we've got, it's adequate. It isn't stellar. It's not what is needed for that space because of the daylight. If it was a totally dark space, or we could make the space dark, then it would be better. But because of the ambient light, it just isn't bright enough. So we've been looking at a new projector, and that's also another significant expense, about $16,000, believe it or not. But that will buy us exactly what we need and get us into the future, and it'll be seen and nice and bright. And so anyway, the total there about $42,000 between those two expenses. Been asking the Lord, asking you all to pray with us, and I believe that we have an answer. Just in the last couple of weeks, have been working with some friends of ours who work in the lending and leasing business, and we were initially going to look at perhaps leasing that equipment. We have to make a decision by the end of this month. The vendor has been gracious and patient, allowing us to use those speakers, but it's like, yeah, well, it's time to kind of make a decision. And I understand because we've had them for 3 months now. We've got to make a call by the end of the month. So the team has known that. We've been praying into that, asking the Lord to show us what to do. So bottom line is, instead of leasing, leasing is kind of an expensive option, as you know. We've done it before with some of the HVAC equipment upstairs in the kids' room because we just needed to do it. We needed to get that room ready for the kids, and it worked out great. That lease is gone now, but we're trying to decide what to do. In the meantime, a friend of ours who's in this industry said, I think I've got a lead for you. And there's a company that loans on capital expenditures like this. And so instead of a lease, it would be a loan, which means our expense, our payment is a lot less than what I had feared it would be. So here's the bottom line. We've been offered the opportunity to purchase this equipment. Again, the $63,000 worth of speakers for $25,000 and the $16,000 projector, rolling that into one package. We have a company who will loan us the money on some pretty good terms to be able to go ahead and purchase and own that. And what blew me away was the monthly payment on that will be only about $967. That's a specific amount, right? But that's what is less than $1,000 a month, which is really pretty amazing. I thought it was going to be a lot more than that. Based upon what we paid for the lease for the HVAC equipment, I was like, oh boy, it's going to be a tough one to swallow. But this seems more doable. But here's what I told the leadership. I said, this is not a call that we can make. This is a call that only our people can make, because what it's going to require is all of us to step up. Number one, to have faith for what God wants to do, and to say, yeah, we need to make this step now. And number two, to say, and I'll commit to support that financially. Because as you know, we've been telling you things have been tight. And praise God. I mean, we're seeing it improve. But we need that to be substantially consistent. Does that make sense? It can't be a one-time, oh, okay, for the moment, and then 2 months later it's like, oh no, because we cannot not honor our financial obligations, whether it's the mortgage on the buildings or whether it's the other expenses that we have. We got to honor those, and this is $1,000 isn't a lot really for the 150 people who are a part of giving to restoration. But yet it's knowing that we're seeing some things, that we're tight. I just don't want to make this call, unless we know that our congregation, you as a restoration regular, as an owner, as one who believes in and supports the vision, you've got to be the ones to give us the green light and say yes. So I've put together a little poll that'll be attached to this video, and I just want you to go on to that poll and just tell us. I mean, what's good is we don't know who's voted what. So if you really don't feel it, if you're like, yeah, I don't think I can really, you think about it, I've not really done the math, but how much would it take per person? This would be easy. If we take 100 people from our church who would just give an extra $10 a month, wouldn't that be 1,000? My math correct? I think it is. 10 100s, 100 10s would equal 1,000, right? So it's kind of, I don't want to say that simple, but that's the choice before us. And yeah, I understand. It's, money is money. It's not easy. That's why I told my guys, I'm like, okay, let's not make this call before we hear from the congregation. I'm leaving for Togo. So I won't be here when you get this message and when you go to make the poll result. So I've instructed the guys, don't move on this until you hear from the church. And I'm not really here to convince you to do it. I want you to know from the Lord what we're to do. I'll give you just a couple of bits of information now as you process. One is, I've really been taken by this verse of Scripture. I'll probably preach on this when I get back sometime. Let me find it on my phone. So it's Luke 14. And this was a parable that Jesus told, and that John Bevere actually used this parable in his teaching in the small group on the Undercover series last week, which, by the way, you need to be in that Undercover thing. That is really good stuff. Wednesday nights. There's only 6 weeks, and we've already gone through 2, I believe. So, yeah, get in there and get that. But here's what John quoted, this parable. It's the parable of the dinner party that Jesus told in Luke chapter 14. And basically what Jesus is saying, he's telling the story. He said, there once was a man who threw a great dinner party and invited many people. When it was time for dinner, he sent out his servant to the invited guests, saying, come on in. The food is on the table. So they had to prepare this food, right, and set the table. So when they went out to invite the guests in, here was the response. They all began to beg off, one after another, making excuses. The first said, I bought a piece of property. Need to go look it over. Please send my regrets. Another said, I just bought 5 teams of oxen, and I really need to check them out. Send my regrets. And yet another said, I just got married and need to get home to my wife. See, none of those were bad excuses, but they were excuses. So the servant went back and told the master what had happened. He was outraged and told the servant, quickly get out into the city streets and alleys. Collect all who look like they need a square meal. All the misfits and homeless and wretched you can lay your hands on, and bring them here. I laugh at the wretched just because I wouldn't describe our people that we want to invite to church as wretched, but, if the shoe fits. So verse 22, the servant reported back, Master, I did what you commanded, and there's still room. This is the verse that really I wanted to emphasize. Verse 23, the master said, then go to the country roads. Wherever you find, drag them in. I want my house full. There you go. Let me tell you, not one of those originally invited is going to get so much as a bite at my dinner party. The reason that spoke to me was because, first of all, we're doing this seminar this weekend with Joel Burton. And by the way, just encourage you to take advantage of that. Listen, while we've got teams in Togo, West Africa, and Oklahoma, crazy, you all are on team here in St. Joseph. And Joel's coming in to do a training and then to give you a hands-on experience at going into the highways and byways and just inviting them to the dinner party. Isn't that awesome to think that that's really what church is a dinner party. It's a feast, a banquet thrown by the master. And the preparations have been made. So here's the connection. I believe that things like these speakers and like this projector, these are preparations. And that phrase that really sticks in me is that my house may be filled. And that is the desire of the master. Man, I feel that one. God's desire is that his house be filled. And from the world's perspective, people might look like wretched people that others would just walk by and ignore. And if the people who were invited to the dinner party aren't interested in coming and they have excuse after excuse, God's not satisfied with that. He just says, okay, well then go find those who are hungry and bring them in, that my house may be filled. So things like these speakers and this projector, do we need those to do ministry? No. Holy Spirit doesn't need technology at all. But what those are tools for us to be able to set the table, to get the dinner party ready, so that when we do the obedience part of inviting people to come in, it's set up, it's ready to go. It's like they're ready to receive. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly, but it's like they come into an atmosphere that's already been prepared for them, both spiritually and practically. In the parable, it was not spiritual food. It was like an actual dinner party with plates and silverware and goblets and platters of food. That all had to be prepared. This is a part of the preparation of the house. You just have to tell us, is this the time? And are you willing to help make those preparations? That's what this decision is based upon. So again, I'm really not trying to guilt you or convince you, manipulate you into how to respond. I'm just saying, if we're going to do this now, then it's going to cost $1,000 a month for the next 60 months. And I'm believing that we're going to pay this thing off a lot sooner than that. But this at least gets us the equipment that we've already been using and know that it works for our situation. This projector, I'm so jealous that y'all are probably going to see it before I do. But you're using those chairs, right, that House of David gave us? And I haven't even had a chance to see those in use either. So, man, isn't God good? That's just a great testimony of how he saw that we had a need and he provided. Is this a way that he wants to provide for our speakers and projector? Maybe so. Let me tell you another quick story, and I'll let you go. Last year in Togo, I had an impression as I sat there in their service. And, this is the third world country. And Bishop and Pastor Blessing do an amazing job with what they've been given. Just incredible. But I looked around and I noticed they don't have a video projector. No way to display the words for worship. And of course, in a nation where there are 3 languages being translated in real time at every service, it's like, gosh, it probably would be good if we could see what we're singing, So it just kind of, just like a little mental sticky note that, I brought home with me and had been praying about that since. And my desire was, oh man, I would love to provide a projector for Bishop and for Praise Chapel. And, as we know, those projectors aren't cheap. One for full daylight, like the one that we need and are looking at, $16,000. It's a big, big request. Not too big for God, but I just began to pray and put out some feelers and didn't really get any response except for a reminder, as the Lord does. He reminded me. He said, hey, you've got a projector. And it's one that we bought back in our Joseph Resource Group days when I was traveling and speaking to different churches around the country. Not every church would have a projector, and I was doing seminars and would project notes and things that were helpful for people to be able to take notes. And I've had that. I probably spent about $3,500 on it back when it was the state-of-the-art thing, right, back in the early 2000s. And I hung on to it. It's mine. We paid for it with our ministry money before I was a pastor, and we've had it here in our possession, and we've used it at the church a time or two, either for a youth group movie or for a movie there. I think when we played the War Room movie, we used it. That was the last time in church I remember using it. But it's been sitting in my closet, and the Lord said, you've got a projector. And I thought, yeah, I do. And, it's kind of hard sometimes to let go of your stuff, It's like, well, what if we need that? Might be times we could use it. And, as I was praying about a projector for Togo, it's like, yeah, I think I know what's happening here. So I bought a new bulb for it because that thing is, probably 15 years old. And the bulb was running out of juice. So I bought a new bulb, and I'm taking it with me to Togo, and Bishop doesn't know anything about it. That's why I haven't said anything publicly about it. So please don't spill the beans for me because he doesn't know yet. But I'm going to use it while we're there in my teaching, and if it works for their situation, I'm just going to leave it behind. But I know it's going to work. Even if it doesn't work in their sanctuary, because there's a lot of daylight. There's like windows on either side, and same situation as ours, just not easy for a projector to cut through that and to be very bright, unless it's a super bright projector that costs $16,000. But they have this Bible college, right, where there are classrooms, and they're teaching men and women how to lead. And they've graduated 800 pastors from their Bible college. And do they need a projector for that? Obviously, they haven't had one up till now, so they've graduated 800 pastors. But would it be a blessing? Would it help Bishop Paul and Pastor Blessing fulfill the vision God's given them? Absolutely. And so that's my plan. I'm packing it in my carry-on and going to use it. And I think Bishop's going to be very, very thrilled. But I share that with you because of this. I'm sowing that. That's a seed. For me, that's a $3,500 seed. And it's something that in our point of need, this is what I've been taught, okay? That you sow what it is you need, that's what you sow. So if you need more kindness from people, them to be kinder to you, what do you sow? You sow kindness, because the seed reproduces after its own kind. Ooh, that's good. So if you need patience, guess what you get to sow? You get to sow patience with others. If you need funds, like I need a breakthrough, Lord, then what you do is you sow that seed and then trust and believe the Lord for a harvest. I'm sowing this projector. Is this the way then the Lord is going to give us a harvest? Is by giving us our own projector that we've really been needing and that will fit the situation that is required? Perhaps. I think we'll know the answer when we read the results of your poll. So I need you to pray, first of all. And if you're married, you talk to your spouse about it, because that's going to make a commitment then. 100 people, $10 a month would do it. I don't know that we'll have 100 people doing it, so don't limit your commitment to 10. If you feel like the Lord's telling you to do 20 or 50, you're committing this extra amount above and beyond your current tithes and offerings. It can't come out of that, okay? Then we're back to where we were. But if this is a way that you feel like the Lord is going to provide for us, that we can prepare the house so that his house may be filled for the banquet that's to come. I'm excited about the people going out this weekend to invite people on the streets to come and to feast. So anyway, I'll let you go because I've talked with you long enough. If you would, pray about it. Click the link below. Participate in the poll. I'm going to have the guys monitor this while we're gone. They'll make the call in my absence, and I'm looking forward to hearing the result. And I'll be fine whichever way the Lord speaks. I want his will. That's what I want above everything else. Thank you so much for praying for Krista and I while we're gone. It's been prayed over us that this will be a time when we'll see God move in the prophetic and through miracles. And that's kind of scary for me, But what I'm learning is you just say yes. And you hear what the Father says, and you just do what you see him doing, and you say what you hear him saying. And when you do that, it all works, and it's going to be good. So we love you. Thank you for supporting us financially, for praying for us. We're still a little short of the funding for our trip, so pray with me. Believe that that'll come in while we're gone. I believe that it will. And I'm really, really excited about being back with you. Is it the 5th of August? I think it's the 5th of August that we come back. I think that's right. And we'll be getting reports then from, I'm looking at my calendar. Yep, August 5. We'll be hearing reports from the Oklahoma team as well as the Togo team. The Togo team is going to be a little tired because we will just have landed the day before. And our time zones will not probably have caught up with us yet. So we might be a little delirious, but that's okay. That's when we're at our best. So love y'all. Thank you so much. God bless you. Excited about the days to come as we approach this 5th anniversary. Wow. Oh, and what about that earthquake that happened where we were at the epicenter of it in downtown? We'll talk more about that later. Okay. Love you. Next stop, Togo. See you soon. Bye.